Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. What does it take to get to 100% permanent in total, or quite frankly, any rating if you have not already filed a claim with the VA? That's what I want to dive into here. And look, many of you are already at 100%, or you already understand the process. This is the time where we help out our brothers and sisters coming behind us. And we do that by watching the video through. Let the video play. That tells YouTube to pass it along. So that's the way that you can help support this. Please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. If you're not a member, consider joining. That does help out the channel, and it helps me to find you quicker in the comments. So jumping into it here, what does it take to have a successful claim with the VA and go to that 100% or 100% permanent in total? That's what I wanted to dive into a little bit here. Grabbing the little stool so I can rest my foot since my back bothers me after a little while. Anyway, so jumping back into it. Here we go. The first thing that you have to realize is what is even an option within the VA world, right? So what are the options as far as conditions that you can file for? Now, I'm going to tell you that it is very broad. Take a moment, if you're new or if you're looking to get to the next level, take a moment and peruse the VA schedule of ratings. Look through them. Google search it, VA schedule of ratings, and then what will happen will be up will pop the VA's website, and there will be, I don't even know how many, 7 different what they call books. They break down your body into different components. So one will be, say, musculoskeletal, another might be neurological, another might be mental health. Dive into each one of those. As you click on them, another set of links will pop up. The one that says schedule of ratings. Click on that. And if you just kind of start reading through them, just the titles of different conditions, you will see it is just forever going. The bottom line, the best way that I could describe it is, look, if it's diagnosable and chronic in nature or has some sort of a residual ongoing effect, you can most likely get that service connected so long as you can prove that it either manifested during your time in service or as a result of your time in service is kind of the way that I look at that. So the first thing to understand, again, is it's anything. Oftentimes we think, okay, well, it's got to be something severe. It's got to be something that is, without a doubt, the military caused this issue. And what happens is we get kind of pigeonholed. We get in the corner in our own minds with what can really come through for service connection. So you need to open up your mindset a little bit and understand that it's not that the military caused it, it's that it's first started during your time in the military. And guess what? The VA doesn't care about your family history so much. Okay, they just care that you joined and you said no to everything. You don't have any problems at all. You're 17 when you signed the paperwork, or 18 years old, and now you're in. And then over time, you start to deteriorate or whatever, right? You start to have some issues. And again, these issues can be anything. They don't have to be injuries only. It could be things like migraines, could be things like gastroesophageal reflux disease, bad heartburn. It could be plantar fasciitis. It could be sleep apnea. It could be arthritis. It could be, on and on, right? Motor tics. So somebody who has a twitch, maybe you got a twitch in your face or something, you got a little flutter that happens uncontrollably. So you have a motor tic. That motor tic is service connectable. These are the things that people don't think about. So now that you understand that it's the world is wide, right? There's a lot of options. Now that you understand that, it's important to understand the key components that the VA is looking for, right? The key components, and again, please let the video run on if you already know this. I know I'm rambling. This is for the people who are really trying to get a firm grip on what's going on. So what the key components are for the VA, at least in my version, is one, you have to have time in service. That creates that window of opportunity, entry date, exit date. And in fact, beyond the exit date, you have a 1-year presumptive period that except for injuries, right? You can't go, fall off a curb and break your ankle and say that's service related a year later. But diseases, are pretty much covered in that 1 year presumptive period after service. So anyway, time and service gives you that window of opportunity. Number 2 is that diagnosed condition, right? We are all really good at self-diagnosing. That doesn't mean anything. You can't self-diagnose, and don't count on the VA to go, oh, you say you have X. Well, come on in and we'll check you out and see if you do, and we'll go from there. That's not going to work. You have to supply them with proof that you have the condition. That condition must be, again, chronic in nature or have some sort of residual effects. That's number 2, the diagnosed condition. Number 3 is the nexus, the link between your time and service and that diagnosed condition. Now, the best way to create the nexus, that link between the two, and remember, it's not show me that the military caused this, right? It includes that, but it's not solely that. It is show me that it manifested during your time in service or is a result of your time in service. That's really the more clear picture of what the VA is asking here. The best way would be if you had a diagnosis during your time in service, right? So, you've been in you're on a 6-year contract, we'll just say, and on year 5, you come down with whatever, migraines, and you go get diagnosed for migraines while you're in service. Clear as day. During your time in service, your window of opportunity, you got diagnosed, which was the number 2 thing. And the nexus is the fact that it got diagnosed within the time of service, that window of opportunity. Now, what happens is when you get outside of that window of opportunity and you have no documentation of your condition during your time in service, you need to, what I call, build a bridge back to your time in service. It has to point back. You do that with, and I know many of you know, but you do that with Nexus letter from your doctor, right? The Nexus letter from the doctor helps to establish the nexus, right? So the doctor would state something about your condition, rationale, whatever, and how they believe that it is, ideally they say more than likely caused by your time in service, but the VA's kind of threshold is a 50-50 coin flip. So the doctor could say, at least likely is not to have manifested or occurred during your time in service, right? Or as a result of your time in service. So that's the 50-50 threshold. You could get buddy statements, you could get a letter from a spouse, that type of stuff, attesting to knowing that you've had that condition during your time in service. So that's kind of how you would help to build that bridge back, along with whatever else you can gather up. So now that you've done that, right, now you have a successful claim for service connection. Okay, definitely utilize DBQs. That's the disability questionnaire, which is a great tool. It's on the VA's website. You can find it for your specific condition. The second piece to this puzzle is, I guess it's almost kind of like a second and third piece, but we'll break it up. So the second piece to this is making sure that you get the appropriate rating. Okay, many times it's this idea of throw it against the wall, see if it sticks, and see what kind of rating they give me. That's a bad way to do it. You can set yourself up to know, hey, look, I've provided everything that I need to meet those 3 requirements of time in service, diagnosed condition, nexus, all that stuff is clear, done. So you can do that. Then what you need to do is work with the schedule of ratings, find your condition. Inside there, when you find your condition, it's going to give you the options for ratings for that condition based on severity, right? And it'll give you the criteria, the severity criteria, right? Maybe it's 1 sentence of criteria to get a 10%. Maybe it's 2 sentences or 3 different types of different sorts of issues that you may have as a result of that might warrant a 20%, and then the next one might be 30% with a couple other things added, right? The bottom line is that you are the patient. You know you better than anybody, and you know what kind of issues you're having. So read through it, and if you're like, yeah, I have all of those things, and oh, by the way, I never even knew that was connected to this. I just assumed that was some other achy thing on me, right? For example, GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, the bad heartburn, some of the criteria is, could be pain shooting down your shoulder and arm, right? Shoulder and arm pain. You might not have ever connected that unless you read it and went, oh, well, yeah, I have that. Never even thought about it, right? You also might not have realized that vomiting and regurgitation are 2 separate symptoms in the GERD rating. So you can't just say, oh yeah, I have regurgitation, or yeah, I vomit sometimes. You need to say both in order to hit both of those criteria. So just kind of food for thought on how important the schedule of ratings is. So read through that on your conditions. For some of them, it is what it is, right? It's the numbers that, maybe it's hypertension, right? High blood pressure. You can't do anything to make sure that you're articulating it correctly. It is what it is. Or range of motion stuff. You move as far as you move before you can feel it. The only thing that you need to understand is as soon as you feel it a little bit. I'll tell you, when I went in, I'm like, well, it hurts now. I don't even need to move for it to hurt. It always hurts. It just hurts worse the more that I go. So you need to just be honest with some of the things, with where the pain threshold is, and then other things you need to be able to articulate the signs and symptoms that you have regarding that condition, like GERD, right? So making sure that you do that, and then making sure that your doctor has that information from the schedule of ratings and they're putting that into your medical files. And most importantly, you could also have your doctor do a DBQ, right, for that condition, and incorporating that information directly from the schedule of ratings. Then almost the most important piece is when you're at that C&P exam, being able to, for lack of a better word, regurgitate what was in the schedule of ratings for your specific condition. So you want to make sure that you're not missing anything, especially if it's based on signs and symptoms and durations, and you have to kind of come up with that, right? You can take notes with you. This is not some sort of weird, closed book exam where it's like, oh man, I needed to study. No, print it out. Plenty of us have memory loss. You don't remember things like you used to. So write it down and take it with you. Whatever it is, key dates, whatever you need to take with you to your C&P exam, open up your file and have a conversation with them and let them know, look, hey, this is really important to me. I made sure I brought all my notes because I want to get this right the first time, right? They'll understand it, and it shows that you're serious about it. So anyway, that part will help ensure that you get the appropriate rating. So now you have a service-connected condition and you have the appropriate rating on your way to that 100%, right? So I'm not going to dive into secondary conditions or filing for increases on any of your conditions in this specific video, but you can also incorporate those, right, and help to get you up to that 100%. Now, once you get to that 100%, by making sure that you filed for everything you can file for and you're getting the appropriate rating for everything you should be rated for, right, that's the most important things, right, that you do those. Secondaries are a big piece, right? So make sure that you're filing for all of your secondaries. And once you have all that stuff done and all your ratings are the appropriate rating, and let's say that you're at 100%, but you're not permanent in total, why? The reason why you're not permanent in total is because the VA believes that you have a potential of getting better on one or some of your conditions that add up to that 100% mark. Now, in some cases, believe it or not, the VA screws up. The VA screws up, and you might have 10 conditions that they view as never going to get better. They're static. They're not going to get better. The VA has already determined that with no future exams, and those 10 conditions may add up to 100% with the VA funny math, right? And you might have 2 or 3 other conditions that have future exams. And so because you have those future exams, the VA didn't do the math to figure it all out to see that you were already 100% without those ones, so they could all be zeros, right? I hope you're following me on this. You don't need those other conditions that have future exams because you're already at 100% based on all your static ones. So if you fall into that bucket, then what has to happen is you have to basically tell the VA, hey, look, I have these 10 conditions that add up to 100% static, which you can find on your C file, or you can work with your accredited veteran rep or veteran service officer or whoever, somebody who has access with the VA, or you can call the VA and ask them what conditions of yours are static, and then you can figure out your ratings and see that you add up, right? You can utilize the VA calculator to do that as well. This is all very important stuff because you could be missing out on additional benefits being permanent and total, not to mention the peace of mind, right? We're all searching for some peace of mind. So being permanent and total creates a little more peace of mind, kind of takes some of the weight off the shoulders and the stress in the background. So if your conditions, again, add up to 100% with static conditions, even if you have other conditions with future exams, you need to notify the VA that you do rate at 100% with static conditions, and they should move you over to permanent and total, and also eliminate your future exams on those other conditions, because it doesn't matter anymore. If they were at zeros, you'd still be at 100%. So the VA is not going to waste their time, money, resources to reevaluate you at a CMP exam for something that doesn't change the outcome. Because the CMP exams are only for ratings, right? They're not trying to treat you. So they're not doing anything for you other than trying to see if they need to change your rating. Now, the other way that you can look at this at going to 100% permanent and total, if you're not and you're at 100, is looking to see what conditions you have that have future exams, right? That maybe those conditions are like, look, I've had migraines for 30 years now, and they've never gotten better. And I don't know why I have a future exam set for 3 years from now when I've had these forever. I mean, I get that I just filed for them, but, here I am stuck. You could work with your doctor and have your doctor write up a letter explaining that these things are static, and just kind of prepare yourself to be able to get that over to a static condition. And if you're looking to go for an increase on something, in your letter, get a letter from your doctor if you're going for increases, and have them write in there the fact that your condition is static, not changing. If you're filing for new conditions, and you're getting evidence from your doctor, have them write you a letter too. Even if you don't need a nexus, they can write you a letter explaining your condition and the fact that they believe that it's static. This will help the VA give you a static rating for that condition. Instead of leaving it open for them to decide, give them the information they need to rule in that. And I hate that I left this to the very end, but it's very important. The little things that you do up front will pay out dividends in the future, right? Imagine you're filing your claim, all of your conditions have letters from your doctors. I mean, if it's true, right? If it's not true, then it's not true. But for most conditions, they're going to be static. So you work with most conditions, they don't get better over time, they get worse. So work with your doctor, get them to write you that letter stating that your condition is static in nature, and supply that to the VA. Imagine now the VA has what they need, and the rater can go, it says static. I mean, it's the doctor. I'm going to code it as it's static. We're moving forward. I don't need to think about it. I don't need to wonder. I don't need to go, there's nothing in here that says that it is, so we'll just throw it out and do a future exam. I need to cover my own butt. So give them the tools they need to best benefit you. All right. With that, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.